We've previously talked about how to use the amortization formula to find monthly payments on a loan or even the present value. But now I want to switch a little bit and talk about something called an amortization schedule. This is something that gives you a month-by-month breakdown of your monthly payment, showing how much you paid toward the interest on the loan versus how much you reduced the loan balance, and then of course showing you how much you still owe. Because when you make a monthly payment, part of that payment goes to interest, only the remainder goes to paying down the balance of the loan. So let's look at an example. Here it says, given the annual interest rate and a line of the amortization schedule for the loan below, complete the next line of the schedule assuming monthly payments. So they're telling you that the annual interest rate is 8.9%. They're giving you the monthly payment, the interest paid. The column on paid for principal is just the difference. If you paid $357.31 and the interest was $42.20, the difference between the payment and the interest is what went to principal. So you're actually subtracting to get the principal. And then your balance goes down by the amount that was paid on principal. So if you started out owing a certain amount, it went down by $315.11 and came out to be $53.72.10. They already gave you that, so you're not asked to calculate any of that, but they want you to continue. Also notice they grayed out the lines below the 8.9% interest, so they're just saying it stays 8.9% all the way down, and they're not asking you to do that. Had they left it blank for you to fill in, you would have just written 8.9% all the way down. They didn't really ask you to do that. So we're going to start off, we want to find out the rest of those blank spots, the values that go into those spots. So the first thing I'd say is, not only is the interest rate fixed, but the monthly payment is fixed too. So it's going to be the same all the way down. They could have asked you for the annual interest rate all the way down too, in which case you'd have just copied 8.9% all the way down. They didn't do that. However, they did ask you to fill out the payments, but the payments are fixed, so that's just a no-brainer. You're going to write that payment value all the way down the column. Now let's move over and look at the amount of interest paid. These are monthly payments, so every row represents a month. So we can't calculate the amount of interest owed until we change that annual interest rate. They gave us an annual interest rate. We've got to change that to a monthly rate. And that's what the formula I equals R over M does for us. So we have to change that annual rate to a monthly rate if we're going to go month by month on this table, which is what they're asking us to do. So the very first thing I need to do is calculate the value of little I. It's the annual interest rate, which is 8.9%, divided by, since it's a monthly payments, divided by 12. So 8.9% as a decimal is 0.089. Divide that by 12, and you come out with 0.00741666667. It just keeps on with the sixes. Eventually you have to round it off to 7. Leave that value in your calculator or store it in your memory or write it down with all those decimal places. You don't want to round off your intermediate steps. But in any case, we have our capital I. That's the monthly rate. So now we're ready to move. We want to find out how much interest was paid on the second line of the table. Well, the interest paid in a particular month is nothing more than the previous month's balance multiplied by little I, which we just calculated. Well, if you're down on this line, the previous month's balance is $5,372.10, and the little I is what we just calculated. So if I take the little I value, plug it into the formula, along with the previous month's balance, which again, you're just going back and looking at the balance on the line before the line you're on. Multiply those two values together, and you get $39.84. So that was the amount of interest paid. Moving along, as I said earlier, the difference between your payment and your interest paid, that difference is what's left to be paid on principal. So all you need to do is take the monthly payment amount, subtract off the interest that you just calculated, and that'll tell you how much was paid on principal. It turns out to be $317.47. Now we've only got one more column in that row, and that is, or one more value in that row, and that's in the last column, which is the balance owed. Well, again, as I said before, this is the amount of money that you're paying on principal. This is what you owed beforehand. So if you paid that amount, then your balance is reduced by the amount that you paid on principal. So you take those two numbers and you subtract. So this number minus this number goes in over here for the missing value. So $5,372.10 minus $317.47 comes out to be $5,054.63. So we've completed the next line of the table. Now you just repeat yourself. So going back again, we want to find the amount of interest paid the next month. Well, again, the previous month's balance times little I is going to give you that. So you look back up and you take the previous month's balance and you multiply by little I, which we know. Plug all those values in, multiply, and you'll end up with $37.49. So that's the interest paid in the next month. Notice that the interest paid values keep going down. They're getting smaller because the more time goes by, the less you owe, so the interest goes down. Right, back to the amount paid on principal. As we did before, the payment minus the interest leaves you with what you paid on principal. So if you subtract those two numbers, you get $319.82. So that's the amount paid on principal. And notice, just as the interest paid values go down, 42, 39, 37, the amount paid on principal goes up. Every month, there's less interest paid and more payment onto the principal. So the interest payment should always go down and the paid on principal value should always go up. And finally, we take the previous month's balance, subtract off the amount we paid on principal, and that will give us the value in the last column for the last row. So we have completed that amortization schedule for 3 months. And of course, if we wanted to, we could keep going and going and going. But the idea is, once you've done one row, all the other rows follow in the same pattern.